Welcome back to the Greenhouse Music Podcast.
Best music class you've ever heard. It's the best music class you've ever heard.
It's Miss Doina.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Greenhouse Music Podcast. The best music class you've ever heard. Okay, friends, my brilliant kiddo listeners, have you watched an orchestra and wondered, why is everyone staring at that one person in the front? I know when I was a kid and I would see that one person, I just saw their hair going back and forth very energetically as they moved their head with force. Well, they are not playing a violin, and they're not playing the piano. They're not blowing in a trumpet. They're not even making a sound. So why is everyone watching them? Well, it's because they're in charge. In an orchestra, these are called the conductors, and they are the ones that lead all the instruments and their musicians to march forward in whatever song they are meant to play. As you can imagine, for a very long time, this was mostly men in that position. But today you're going to meet a girl who loved music so much that she decided she was going to stand in that very spot and be in charge, even when almost nobody believed that she should. By the end of this episode, you'll understand what a conductor really does and why leadership in music is not about being the loudest or the best instrument out there. It's about listening and moving forward. All right, many musicians, let's travel back in time. Back to the early 1900s, a little girl named Antonia Brico loved music. I get that a lot. She also loved the way it moved and the way it breathed, and she loved an entire orchestra and how it could feel like one giant heartbeat together. And when she was still young, she asked a local band director a very important question. How do I become a conductor? His answer, it's impossible for girls to become a conductor. Wait a second. Is that true, kids? Absolutely not. And I'll show you why. Imagine being told your dream is impossible, not because you lack talent, but just because you're a girl. Now, here's the part that I want you to lean in for. Antonia did not say, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll just have to find a new dream. Nope. She went ahead and probably said something around the lines of, watch me, dude. I'm gonna do it. She later said, I'd never forgive myself if I didn't try. I like this girl already. Because that right there, kids, is courage. And here's what she did. She studied the piano, she studied musical theory, and she studied orchestration. Then she moved to Europe to train seriously in conducting. And in 1930, she stood in front of the Berlin Philharmonic, a very famous orchestra, making her one of the first women ever to conduct a major orchestra. Where did she come from? Well, she was born in 1902 in Rotterdam, in the Netherlands, and then later immigrated to the United States as a child. And here's something important about this story. In the early 1900s, women were rarely given opportunities to do any kind of work, especially conduct major orchestras. And when Antonia expressed her dream of becoming a conductor, she was discouraged and she was told it was not realistic for a woman to pursue that path, but she didn't stop. She continued studying. And when she got to do the Berlin Philharmonic, well, I'm sure the world started to notice because that was historically significant. She later conducted the New York Philharmonic in 1938, and she founded the New York Women's Symphony Orchestra in 1934, which later became known as the Brico Symphony Orchestra, named after Antonia. At the time, many major orchestras were made up entirely of men, and Brico believed that orchestras should include both men and women. She is quoted saying that men and women mix in life, and they should mix in orchestras. That statement reflected the barriers that existed in her era. And she also conducted works by Finnish composer Jean Sibelius. And her performances of his music were well received in Europe. Now, hold up, let's bring this back to music a little bit, because what is a conductor exactly? Well, a conductor kind of guides the orchestra. They're the leader. They set the tempo, they control the dynamics, they signal when an instrument is supposed to come in and start playing. They shape the phrasing of the song. They balance out the different sections. And Brico trained herself to understand entire scores. That means every instrument, every entrance, and every transition. Another important thing to note here, orchestras are typically made up of 80 to 100 instruments. The orchestra in this era was pretty big with the strings. They had about 50 to 70 plus string instruments, including violins, violas, cellos, and double basses. They had around 8 to 16 woodwinds, which means like the flutes or the oboes, the French horns, the clarinets, the bassoons. And they had about 18 to 20 plus brass instruments. 4 to 8 French horns and maybe about 5 trumpets and 4 trombones and tubas. And they had percussion instruments as well, like timpani, bass drum, the cymbals, the triangle, the celesta harp, and the piano. And Brico trained herself to rise above by understanding the entire score of all of these instruments and what their job was during these pieces. Conducting requires clarity, preparation, deep listening, and in some cases, lots of memorization. And Antonia pursued that role at a time when it required extraordinary persistence to rise above the expectations of women. Antonia did not choose the easy road. She chose a hard one. Did you know? Antonia Brico's career was rediscovered decades later through a 1974 documentary film called Antonia, A Portrait of a Woman. That film helped bring renewed recognition to her achievements and inspired new generations of women conductors. Sometimes history forgets, but sometimes music brings the story right back. All right, music makers. Well, before you can conduct like Antonia Brico, your arms need to learn the pattern. Don't worry, it's pretty simple, and I'll teach it to you. If there are 4 beats in a measure, which means that the music feels even, complete, and like it can be split very evenly into different parts. The baton that a conductor holds, which is a stick, goes down, moves to the left, moves to the right, swings up, and then we start all over again. The first beat where you go down is 1, 1, and your arm moves downward. Then on the second beat, it goes to the left, left, and your arm moves to the left. On the third beat, your arm is going to swing to the right, and on the fourth beat, it goes up so that you're ready to start again. You hold the baton in your fingers, but your arm is guiding your hand. Okay, don't worry, I'm making it easy for you to remember. I'm going to give you some words, and here they are. Down we land, left we lean, right we sweep, and up we breathe. I found this very helpful because in singing or even when you're playing an instrument, the upbeat, when you come back up to start over again, usually right after you hit the 4th beat in the measure, that's usually when you breathe. It's our ready to begin again on a new measure. So here's the phrase again. Down we land, left we lean, right we sweep, and up we breathe. All right, can you repeat it after me? Do it with the hand motions. You're going to have your hand pretending like it's holding a baton and swing your arm downward, starting from an up position. You go down we land, left we lean, sweep it across your body to your other shoulder, right we sweep, and then up we breathe. And you bring it back to your starting position. Down we land, left we lean, right we sweep, and up we breathe. Good. On the down, your hand drops strong. And on the up, you breathe again, ready to begin. Because real conductors breathe in before the next phrase begins. Otherwise, they might faint. All right, let's do it twice in a nice steady rhythm. I'm tapping. 1, 2, 3, we go. Down we land, left we lean, right we sweep, and up we breathe. And you can do it at a faster tempo. Down we land, left we lean, right we sweep, and up we breathe. You can do that at an even faster tempo. Down we land, left we lean, right we sweep, up we breathe. because the conductor is who determines the tempo for all the musicians to follow. Kind of cool. So now your arm knows the pattern. Let's see if your ears can follow it too. Let's go on an imagination journey. I want you to close your eyes if you can. We are inside the orchestra now, and everything is about to play very balanced. You raise up your baton to start the orchestra. You give them a count. 1, 2, ready, begin. Here's our nice steady beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we will add some more new instruments. Now listen closely, because something might go wrong. You have to figure out and correct the song. Wait, what just happened? The strings were smooth, and we heard a little bit of percussion. We had that low bass sound, but something felt too big. Did you hear it? The entrance for the brass instruments really sounded out of place and maybe too loud. And that's when a conductor would lower the baton and look at them, telling them to make sure that they come in a little bit quieter, or they adjust at that moment. You see, conductors don't just wave their batons everywhere or flail their arms. They listen for it in balance, and they hear it before the audience even realizes it. So now we fix it. So there it is. That's how you conduct on the spot. You have to adjust things, and they use their baton to communicate how they want the instruments to adjust. This is what Antonia Brico trained herself to do. In a room full of world-class musicians, she was their leader. All right, are you guys ready to hear what I've been listening to this week? I've been doing a little deep dive on music through the ages. And specifically, I've been focused on the 50s and 60s. So a lot of the music that's been going on in my head has been a little bit of Elvis and the Beatles and lots of other fun musicians like the Chordettes. So I've been having some fun bebopping around listening to that kind of music. And it's really fun to explore. Now, if you want to understand the orchestra better, go back and listen to episode 13, The Magic of Instruments, so that you know who the conductor is guiding, and episode 76, Child Prodigies in Music, because deep musical leadership begins with deep musical understanding. And I talk about a modern day female composer in there who's pretty awesome. Here's your challenge for the week. Practice being a quiet leader. Use the nonverbal ways that you can communicate leadership. Practice, starting a rhythm game, or help organize something. Encourage someone who feels unsure. Guide a small group activity, and ask yourself, did I lead by being the loudest or by listening the most carefully? Antonia Brico did not conduct through force. She conducted through clarity, through preparation, and through listening. Just like you can. Okay, music makers, I believe in you. You may not be holding a baton, but every day you are shaping something beautiful. Your sound, your classroom, your friendships, your family, and all of that takes courage. So thank you for listening to the Greenhouse Music Podcast, the best music class you've ever heard. All month long, we'll be exploring brave voices in music that march forward. So come back to listen to our next episode, and keep listening, keep leading, keep growing, and keep marching to the beat of your own drum. Bye for now, music makers. Hey parents, do you want a free worksheet or book or page to go along with the lesson that your kids learned today? Head on over to green.myflowdesk.com/podcast to get our newsletter that will have a new worksheet or lesson to go along with each new episode. That's green.myflowdesk.com/podcast. podcast. The link is also available in the podcast description on each episode.